Hi, it's me, the Zen Mommy. Today I want to talk about the fourth dimension. So I want to talk about this topic because I want to talk about it from my perspective, my point of view, and I feel like it's an important topic uh, to make it easier to understand my content and some other subjects that I'm going to be discussing. When I refer to this, I want you to kind of understand like what I mean by the fourth dimension. And I think that on this spiritual journey, awakening to the creator that you are, awakening to spiritual awakening, realizing who you are, where you are, what we're doing here, it's very important to know what dimension we're in and what we're dealing with in this dimension. So, excuse me, I am pregnant. I have a week and a half left. And so I have a chair here. I will be sitting down a lot and I will be adjusting the camera a lot. I hope that's okay with you, but let's get started. Okay, so as you know, if you follow my channel, we are all creators, okay? I had a spiritual awakening. I had a near-death, out-of-body experience, and I remembered the nature of the reality. I had all my memories back of who we were before we actually incarnated into this 3D Earth experience, okay? So I'm going into 4D Earth, but I guess I'll explain quickly what the 3D experience is so we can go into the 4D, right? So what happened is the Earth was created. This was a creation, right? And Earth was... it was supposed to be a physical experience for us non-physical entities, and a human physical experience. So the Earth was created, and everything is it looks very solid. At least everything here looks solid to our eyes, right? And so humans are 3D, okay? And so we all exist on this Earth, and everything around us is very physical. So 3D is the physical dimension of Earth. So I guess we'll just leave it at that for now. The very physical, the very basic. Most people in the 3D experience who are still like really focused on the 3D experience, they don't really believe in the stuff I'm about to talk about. They're not open-minded to it. I would say humans, if you're a starseed, this is something you would be more open to, okay? So the 3D experience came in this creation, right? So when this creation was created, it came with stars. So excuse my drawings, they're not the best, right? So, okay, so we have the Earth. I added a few planets, but they're planets. There are galaxies, there are stars, and we're told that there are, millions and millions of miles, that it could be infinite, this whole outer space thing, right? And we're told the Earth is round, okay? Now, some people believe that the Earth is flat, okay? And I'll do another video on that, okay? So for argument's sake, we're just gonna say this is a circle for right now. But, it really depends on what you believe in, okay? And we'll go into the Earth, flat Earth, the round Earth, and timelines later, okay? Because I really want to explain timelines, but I feel like I need to go into 4D first. So, okay. So this right here, Earth, everything Earth can interact with, the stars, the solar system. I forgot to put like the sun and what can I put the moon and the moon. Okay, so. We'll just put that there. Don't pay attention to any placement or anything. This is just a rough diagram to kind of show you this is all of this creation, right? It's not just Earth. It's everything that we can see with our physical eyes or with a telescope, right? So this was the creation. Now our souls, our consciousness, we don't really come from here. This was created for a human experience, for a 3D, a physical experience, okay? So we come from this creation, has nothing to do for who we truly are, where we truly come from. It's kind of like a game, I mention this often, where, imagine being a consciousness of soul we have many experiences. This is not the only one. There's millions of different types of creations, okay? There's non-physical, there's physical creations. There's so much that we can do as creator gods and create. But this one was a very complex creation, right? We came here, we got to go to experiencing being physical. Then we start to experience duality where there's now like negative vibrations and positive vibrations, or low and high, yin and yang. There's female, male. And as I mentioned in my feminine masculine video, that we are not male or female, we're actually both. But in this experience, we had a choice to choose which we want to experience here, okay? And so, all right, so down to now let's get into the fourth dimension, right? So the fourth dimension is a dimension, so what happens is, truthfully, we somewhat exist on all dimensions. We exist on all dimensions because we are everything and everything is us. So what happens is we have to raise our frequency. Our frequency has to match to see a certain dimension, right? To see 4D, 5D. So if you're in a dense, low vibration, just being a human, maybe an NPC, you're not open-minded, you don't believe in all this stuff, you deem everybody as conspiracy theories that has an open mind. That's a very 3D based minded person, right? But a 4D based person is going to be open to spiritual things, okay? They're going to believe in angels, demons, okay? So we're going to go, it exists here, but it exists in a plane where you can't see it physically, but you can tap into it. You can raise the frequency of it. You can match it, okay? So the fourth dimension has a host of realities and beings that exist right here that we can't see, okay? The type of entities that you'll find in the fourth dimension I have listed here, okay? So can you guys see that? Let's get up a little closer. Angels, demons, Jesus, Buddha, Orishas. And then I just put all religious gods that people talk about. They create these books, Bibles or whatever. They worship. Because as a creator God, once you begin to believe in something, it becomes true. Because we are gods. And whatever we focus our awareness on, that's where the energy flows to. And if there's a group of us, right? Say, take the Christianity religion, a whole bunch of people believe in Jesus. So you'll hear a lot of accounts where they say, oh, I've seen Jesus, or I had a near-death experience and I witnessed Jesus, or Jesus talked to me, or Jesus healed me. Let me tell you, Jesus, for people like me and you who have walked away from, religion, we don't believe in Jesus anymore. Only because we know the belief is us. It's us that believe. But take a group of people, they believe in Jesus, and Jesus is now, because they're gods, they created Jesus. He now exists in the fourth dimension. So what will happen is a soul will come in who wants to play their role, okay? So we're all like actors in this elaborate game, in this elaborate experience, right? And I chose to be a starseed human. Some people choose to be a human, right? Some people choose to be an angel, demon, Jesus, a God, whatever. Some people play the bad guy. Some people play the good guy in this experience, right? So someone comes in to play Jesus, a soul, okay? They also go into somewhat of a partial amnesia. And they will even, so if you were to go into the fourth dimension, which happens to a religious person when they die, right? Because their belief is so strong in this belief system of Jesus, they may experience heaven or hell, okay? Those are realities that exist in the fourth dimension, right? That dimension is still a part of this illusion, this game right here of this earth. It's an illusion. You just can't see it with the physical eyes, right? And so they'll go up there and they'll meet the Jesus, and there's a soul playing Jesus, and he thinks he's Jesus, and he thinks that he's healing people. It's just an experience, right? And they may go to heaven, they may go to hell, and they may have, that experience based, like if they have a lot of fears about hell, they will experience hell, right? And if they really believe that they've been a good person and Jesus covers them and they're going to heaven, they'll experience a heaven experience, right? But they won't technically be in those experiences for long because they come more conscious when they go into these dimensions. And like if they put themselves like in a hell state where they're suffering or whatever, there are entities there that won't let them suffer, that will help them out, that will help wake them up or whatever, or they'll see that the experience was an illusion at that point. And at that point, they have a choice to play in a lot of they can stay around in 4D and in some of the other 4D experience, which there's a lot of, or they can go back home outside of all of this and just be the creator God that they are. So Buddha, same thing. Orishas, okay, so I already said religious gods. So these are all religious gods, okay? So remember, as a God, if you believe something, it becomes true, okay? So we're just creators playing a game. We think of an idea, it creates, and we think it's like, oh my goodness, Jesus is real, blah, 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 blah. But it's your belief that created. You're the real creator here, okay? So aliens, that's our next thing. That's one of the reasons why I want to go into this subject. Is because recently aliens have, the government has come out and announcing, and whistleblowers, that aliens do exist, UFO do exist. These entities have been here, right? And they actually are living amongst us. They're living here. And so aliens are also fourth dimensional beings, right? Why don't we see aliens? Okay, so I think I did a video about aliens a while ago talking about that. The thing is, they're at a higher frequency. We can't see things in a certain frequency. So what'll happen is, they have the ability to kind of like phase in and phase out and make themselves not known. And why would they make themselves known when humans are hostile, And, hostile, they could try to hurt or kill them, or, what they do here with the animals, right? So they could try to dissect them, find out, steal their technology, just different types of things, right? Which probably has already happened as far as the technology being stolen and whatnot. I don't know for sure. But aliens are a fourth dimensional being, okay? So this is going to come up a lot because they're a part of this reality, right? And I don't know for sure like how, what timeline I'm going to be on, but I know that there's a timeline where aliens will make themselves known here, okay? So I'm not for sure I'm on that. I think I'm on a timeline where I'm starting to see that, and so I just wanted to bring that up in case we're going to have further discussions. Fairies. Yes, fairies exist. And a lot of these things people be like, oh, she's a conspiracy theorist. So those are people who just have a closed off mind, right? I notice a lot of these conspiracy theories, these things are coming to pass. So a fairy is a fourth dimensional being, and they're like a playful creature. And I have actually witnessed 3 fairies in my lifetime when my son was little. And I'll do a separate video on that, breaking down that experience. But yes, they do exist, And so inner earth beings, okay? Inner earth beings are technically aliens, and they live inside the earth, okay? There was a man named Admiral Byrd who, he worked for the government. He was some kind of admiral. And he took a flight past the North Pole, where now the military has blocked off and they won't allow anyone past. And so he flied across the North Pole, and he was like being an explorer. And there was ice for miles, and he said that when I read he kept a diary of his, a travel vlog diary that he wrote down, and so I read this, and he said it went for a very long time, like it should have been over, right? So that this little whole thing kind of suggests the earth isn't what we think, that it isn't round like we say. And he says after driving for a very long time in a plane, the ice started to see it land, okay? He started to see grass, greenery, trees, and he looked down and he was like, is that a mammoth? And he writes this in the journal, and he says he says, then we just start to descend lower, and we see that this indeed is a mammoth, okay? And he said it was warm. The temperature was warm now. It was no longer like frozen, right? And he came to this, I think this was the North Pole, the pole, right? And there was a big like hole, like a crater in the ground. And the moment he flew over it, okay, and he writes this in his book, a force began to pull him down into the center of the pole. Once he came down into the center of the pole, he was met with these entities. So these entities, he didn't go into deep detail of the description, right? But I believe for sure they had like a humanoid shape, from the description that I read. I would have to look up the book again. It's been a while since I read it. And they began to speak to him. These were the inner earth beings, right? And I believe they were called the guardians. I can't think of the name right now. I should have looked this up before. But Asgard, I can't remember because now I'm sounding like I'm talking about Thor. Agarthan. Okay, I'm done. I'm not gonna guess that anymore. Okay, so he goes down there, and they pull him down, and they're really friendly to him, and they have a conversation with him. They bring him in. He says they give him a drink, and he says it's the most delicious drink. He'd never tasted anything like it. They're really friendly. They introduce him to someone, and he said he talked about like the structure of the buildings. Everything was just really beautiful. The land was beautiful. The people was peaceful. And so he talks to someone who, I don't know, maybe a leader or something, and he has a message for you. He's like, I've been waiting for you, right? So these entities are definitely far more conscious than we are, as they can foresee things. And he says, we want to tell you that what your people is doing, our human people, he said you're messing with things you shouldn't be messing with. And this was around the time of the first atomic bomb was set off. I think it was in Japan. And what happens is that atomic energy will disrupt this whole experience here, okay? And not only the human experience, but we have these entities that are not all of them, okay, but we have these entities that are also sharing this planet with us. Okay, and if you mess up the top of the planet, of course you're going to destroy the balance of any other part of the planet. And they also mentioned that they often try to contact and talk to them, but they would get shot at and shot down. And so they left this whole message, and I can read the book and go into it more, to him. And when he came back, he told the government exactly what they said, and they helped him get back out of the pole, send him back. And he was definitely convinced that, he he came back, and he told the government or military that, the whole scenario, right? And he was sworn to secrecy to never mention this ever. And he said that, because I guess he's an admiral and whatnot, he had to take that secret to his grave. So he kept his journal, and he wrote it out. And he saved it, and he still felt it should get out someday. So he kept it, and his son took it at that point after he passed away. I'm sure he probably told his son. His son is the one who I think published it eventually. And he didn't publish it as a book. It's like a little section in a book. And so, anyways, so these people were the inner earth beings that I'm talking about, right? And they sound peaceful. It sounds beautiful. This whole world exists. And we've heard the stories. We've heard that there's entities that's living inside Mount Shasta. We heard about all of these things, right? We've heard about mermaids. We've heard about Atlantis. We've heard about all these mystical creatures and beings. And, we're told that this is folklore or stories or whatever that we hear. But I do believe that these stories have some foundation in the truth. I do believe people have reached frequencies where they've actually encountered some of these entities. Next one on our 4D being entity list is ghost, shadow beings. Now, ghosts would be if someone dies and they want to hang around as a ghost. It's an experience they want to have. They just don't want to leave. Like, cause you have the option, like after you pass away, after you leave the physical body, transition is what I want to call it, because you never die. You can choose to kind of hang around your family and hang around and just kind of become a ghost, or you can transition and go completely out of here. Shadow beings. Shadow beings is actually like there's a whole reality of entities that are playing shadows running around. Okay, you may have witnessed a shadow moving at the corner of your eye. Okay, I've witnessed multiple shadow beings. I remember one day I was in my bed and I felt like a man ran by, but it was like black. And I literally ran up, got out of the room, and I was like, there's a man, he came to my room, he walked in my room. People thought I was crazy. And I even felt like a breeze come by. And then we went back in the room, there was no man there. And I was like, oh, I was younger when this happened. Now recently, 2 times, and me and my husband was asleep in our room, and we have a bathroom in our room. And I woke up and I saw the shadow of my husband's figure walk into the bathroom. And I said, babe. And he said, yes, from this side. I said, I was like, I started freaking out. He was just like, okay, Simone, don't freak out. We know these things can't hurt us, blah, blah, blah. We're creators. You know, he gave me that speech. I said, I know, I'm not scared, but it's just kind of startling to see it. That happened twice in like 1 month, right? So these shadow beings, they're just another 4D entity, right? Ancestors, another 4D entity. So an ancestor is, people will say, you need to talk to your ancestors, you need to communicate with your ancestors, you need to have your ancestors watch over you. So people say that their ancestors are their, you know, their bloodline of people they come from. Their grandparents, greatest grandparents, great grandfather, grandmother, down to the line, whoever. And so they, people use these, they talk to them, they say they watch over them, some of them worship them. And so what an ancestor is, they're also a 4D entity, right? The moment you want to connect to an ancestor, so I don't personally deal with ancestors, and Lord knows I have my reasons. But the ancestor thing is, okay, so you're the creator of your reality, the creator God, right? And you sit down and say, I want to connect to my ancestor, and I want my ancestor to watch over me and guide me. Because you're a creator, you create this entity in the 4th dimension. Now, any ancestor, right, say it's like your 90th greatest grandma or whatever, right? So she's now, like, her experience happened a long time ago. She's now outside of this 3D experience. She's transitioned all the way out. She's somewhere else. But because we are all one and we're all gods and we all love each other, this ancestor can say, all right, I'm going to come to 4D and play this role for you, right? So that's where the ancestors come from. And so people, they heavily trust in the ancestors. The ancestors help them, protect them, guide them. Same thing as Jesus. They trust Jesus. He helps them, protects them, guide them. Religious God, same thing. They pray to them, they help them, they protect them, they guide them. They all do the same thing. And when it comes down to it, it's really you. You're manifesting this, you're creating this through your belief. You know, that's why it's really silly for this God to say, no, your God is wrong and your God is wrong and this isn't real. Because this is a one-sided experience for that person who believes in that, you know. And so, okay, after ancestors, then we're going to say, I'm just going to sum up all other mystical creatures, beings, and gods that I didn't remember or think to mention. So they all pretty much things that you hear about, they exist. And, you know, they exist in the 4th dimension. And we all exist in the 4th dimension, but it's not necessarily visible to the naked eye. You can match a frequency and see it, right? Or you can actually, and it'll get to a point where people will be able to experience. I remember my mentor saying that, like, you know, as this experience begins to shift out of this, like, this very dense dimension, that there will be alien beings, you know, they'll be coming in, and there'll be people who want to go with them. You know, there's a lot of alien races that are talked about, like Pleiadians, Arcturians, I can't think of all the names, and Andromedon or whatever. And there are people that feel really connected, like they're part of them, like they're part of their family. Now, any of these beings can decide, you know what? After being a 4D being, I want to experience being a human. Okay, and so I believe that these kind of aliens, some of these aliens do that, and then they are like, then they experience the human, and they feel really connected. And aliens can also, they have like a lot of advanced technology. So another thing I learned about the fourth dimension, that the fourth dimension is heavily into technology. So like the aliens, you know, it's been announced by the whistleblowers that they have technology that has been recovered by the government that is strong enough to cause national disasters like earthquakes, heat waves, all kind of damage to the earth, right? And you know, I kind of watched the there was a 3-hour press conference, and I watched some of it, and they were saying that, you know, these beings are giving them 6 months, like to 2024, to do something about it, because they can actually destroy the planet for them too. And you know, so anyways, so these beings will come to people, okay? They will perform, there's some people who experience surgeries. Now, I'm a 5D girl. I'm interested in 4D. 5D. I'm not interested in going to the fourth dimension, okay? Because in the fourth dimension, I'm done with this experience right here, this game. I'm really done with it, okay? And so the alien beings, they still exist in this whole, they all exist in duality still, where there's going to be the low and the high vibrations. You know, there's going to be like, they're still playing the game is what I'm saying. And, you know, they'll come to people. So there was this one guy, I had this subscriber who told me, he was like, oh, guess what? I met this alien. And this video is getting long, so I'm about to end it in a minute. And he was like, I met this alien being, and it was trying to give a surgery to me. And these surgery things really exist. I know multiple people who've had them. And he said, I was reluctant and I was scared and I didn't want to do it. But after after he did it, they started to help me, and I was able to see these beings. And he said, they're everywhere, right? And the moment he said that, like, I psychically connected and I could see the beings that he was talking about. And I could see they was everywhere, you know. And so there'll be moments where people will connect to them like that and have a special experience. And this is what they want to do, you know, let them do it. I'm not going to put anyone down who wants to stay in this game and play it some more. I experienced too much of this dense vibration stuff. I don't want to do it no more. And so that's why I want to go to the fifth dimension, where we're all remembering we're gods, we're all in oneness, and there'll be no more of the low frequency stuff, right? Now, when people say, oh, there are 9 dimensions, right? And the 9th is the highest or whatever, right? Now, I want to be clear when I talk about dimensions, this whole 4D experience, right? There are dimensions in 4D, okay? There's a 5D, there's a 5D, a 6D, a 7D, a 8D, and each of these dimensions have higher frequency of beings, right? And so when people are talking about that, that's what they're talking about, that they can go to these frequencies, right? So when I say 5D, I probably shouldn't even use the term 5D, but I can't think of a better term, because that's what, you know, we've been using. That's what my mentor said. The thing is, 5D is actually, it's still a game, but it's a game of shifting with the whole planet Gaia. She no longer wants to be in this experience, this 4D experience. She wants to get to the point where the planet is healed, lush, we're all free, there's no fear, there's no pain. We basically are all gods, creating, walking, relearning, you know, remembering who we are, remembering how to use our gifts and abilities. And we can live out our lives there for as long as we want, or we can go straight back home to where we came from there. And so that's the experience I talk about when I say 5D, and I wish I could think of another name, and I probably will. Anything else on 4 dimension? Let's see. The planets, the solar system. This will always remain a mystery. They say they've been to the moon. They say they've been out of space. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe that. I don't believe they've ever been anywhere. Okay, and there's been proof that all those videos of the moon footage was doctored and fake and actors and all of that. And what I do know is this stuff you can experience on psychedelics. You can go there, but I don't think we can go there physically as we are if it exists like that. I also know we're gods, and whatever we believe in is true for us. The same thing with the flat earth and the round earth. And so 4D beings, angels and demons, okay. So 4D beings, I mentioned before, is they're really invested in the 3D experience, the human experience. Like the angels and demons and Jesus, they're definitely invested because the people are worshiping them. And that worship energy fills them, it feeds them, okay? So even in the 4th dimension with all these beings, there's an energy exchange. Like here we exchange money, right? We need to make money. We need to make money to buy houses, cars, furniture, food, anything we need. So everything is an energy exchange. The same thing for the 4D creation. They don't use money, right? They use energy. And energy is very important as far as what they're doing in their creation as far as exchanging. So these entities get most of their energy from the humans that live here. So if the humans are worshiping them, if there's a human, like say it's a Orisha or a Buddha, and they set out a table and they put food and flowers and herbs and burn things and then they pray. This is all energy. Although it looks physical to us, it is very energetic to these gods, and they use this energy. They transmute this energy and whatnot. Oh, there's one more thing I definitely need to put on here. I should do a whole separate video about this because the Holy Ghost was the experience I had in religion. It's like the light is messing up. You see that? The Holy Ghost. Now the Holy Ghost is a spirit, a 4D entity like the rest of these, that you can open up and receive in your religious experience in church. When I was a Christian, here, let me sit down for a little bit because it's hard to stand me in this fragment. When I was a Christian, I received the baptism of the Holy Ghost. And the baptism of the Holy Ghost is what sold me on Christianity because I felt this energy. It was definitely an entity. It helped me. It worked with me. It guided me. And I was convinced that Jesus was the way because of this Holy Ghost. When I began to have my awakening, I was very distraught. Like, but what was that I experienced? What was this Holy Ghost? And I couldn't. A lot of people who had that experience, it's going to be hard for them to leave religion because the Holy Ghost energy is so freaking powerful that you'll feel like this is it, this is the truth. And then I began to learn that the Holy Ghost is just another 4D entity. And just like any of these entities that work with you, they can connect with you, they give you energy, positive energy, or energy that feels good. They may give you negative energy. They may they feed on you. These entities they give you an energy exchange. None of this is for free. Nothing in this whole creation is for free. So think again, we're living in duality. If they're giving you something, they're taking energy from you. Jesus is giving you, oh, he healed me. Oh, Jesus did that. Jesus saved my life. He got me from addicted from cocaine. He got me from my addiction. Let me tell you something. Yes, he did that, but he didn't do it for free, okay? You're putting worship energy towards him. You're putting prayer energy towards him. You're giving him so much energy that you don't even realize it. The same thing with the Holy Ghost. Now, when I look back in church when the Spirit would fall and people would be dancing and they would say this was the Holy Ghost. I started to see yet that this being would come into the church, and I remember it would make people shout. Like we had like 5,000 members with a bunch of pews, right? And I would notice that it would make one pew at a time jump up and dance, like it was playing a piano. And I was just like, what's going on? These entities, they're playing a game too. That's all it is. And you know, it really helped me to learn that about the Holy Ghost, that it was just another experience in the 4D realm. It's still an illusion. It's still a game, right? But see, my experience and my journey is about waking up to who we really are and exiting this game of duality and going back home, being back to who we really are. Living in peace, living in happiness, living no more of the struggle, you know. And so, okay, I'm gonna leave it there. We're going to 40 minutes. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you watch to the end, thank you. Make sure you sign up for my email list if you want to continually be updated on channel news or when I get a new video or whatever, just so we can stay in contact, because this YouTube stuff, I don't know what's going to happen with all this social media stuff, but I know eventually it's not going to always be there. They already limit spiritual content now. Like, it's just really hard to grow. They shadow ban you, they block you when you talk about this kind of stuff. So definitely join my email, and thank you for being a part of my YouTube channel. Have a nice day.